We're going to be here for at least the next 3 hours live. Max Kaiser on incredible economic developments will be joining us. We've also got new cases of people trying to short silver. We're going to be breaking that down with him and taking your phone calls in the third hour. James Dillingpole, who writes for the London Telegraph and other big publications and is a best-selling author, has chronicled the fraud, the miscreant behavior of the man bear pig, the king of bull, the king of baloney, the Ayatollah of Scamarola. We're talking about, of course, Albert Gore Jr. Albert Gore. Albert, I invented the internet. Albert, LA is going to be underwater 5 years ago, Gore. Albert, I own an oil company, but I want to tax you. Albert, I own giant mansions everywhere, and I'm a big fat hypocrite. And his 24 hours of con artistry, his 24 hours of relaunching fraud and hysteria to make him the high priest of the planet and to pay him and Lord Rothschild trillions of dollars to keep you safe. His 30-year quest, the $100 billion spent domestically to foist all of this on us, all circling the toilet bowl right now. Talked to Lord Monckton last night, and I said, has Al Gore been thrown off the cliff and totally destroyed like Humpty Dumpty, or is he at the edge tipping? And Lord Monckton basically said that he is on the ground. He has fallen. Humpty Dumpty has had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men can't put man, bear, pig back together again. So we're going to be discussing that today. Also, I have a few words to say about yesterday going into histrionics and flailing about. That is not staged when I do that, but it is staged. I allow myself to behave like that. I allow myself to express how I'm feeling and my rage and disgust, but it is not good for me, and I need to stop doing it, obviously, and I've gotten better over the years at not going into out-of-control, frothing rants of hatred where I can't even speak, basically, and just repeat the word scum over and over again while deliciously grinding my teeth together. I can't do that. And what happens is I don't do it as often as I used to, so now when I do turn loose and enter into the ecstasy of absolute hatred, it is not good. The ecstasy of absolute love is the way to go. And I need to remember that. And I shouldn't let people like Al Gore and Bill Gates, it's just imaging them with their fake ninnyingness as they try to look passive and friendly and wimpy when they're not. They are harbingers of eugenics and mass doom. But just like when you're out dove hunting, if you just kind of and actually put off vibes of happiness, the dove won't flee from you. But if you're out there looking around like a predator, got your gun up, everything flees. It's the same thing with these guys. Or when you're trying to creep up on a wild horse or something you want to lasso. You're like, oh, hi, I'm friendly, la, la, la. And they want to get the horse to take it off to a rendering plant to turn it into glue. Elmer's glue, yes, is rendered horse and cow hooves and other cartilage appendages all turned into a corpulent scrofuli paste to be extruded out onto the pages of little ones, creating kindergarten works of art. All right, well, I am not a horse to be rendered down into glue at the soap works. We'll be right back. Stay with us, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I'm seething with humanity. You are too. Tap into it. We'll be right back. Stay with us. We are live, my friends. It is Thursday, the 15th day of September 2011. Max Kaiser on huge developments in the economy globally and this new banking dictatorship openly being set up in Europe that's connected under treaty to the United States. We're going to be getting into that. Some of the silver shorting and manipulation going on. London Telegraph reporter James Dillingpole joins us in the second hour for about 30 minutes or so, and then we'll continue with calls to talk about the latest scams of man, bear, pig. He's claiming those of us that are saying that carbon dioxide isn't causing global warming are the fraudsters and the hoaxsters. Sorry, Al, baby. Your internal emails from the different UN scientists organizing fraud worldwide have been made public for 2 years. Sea levels have dropped. Even Der Spiegel has to admit that now. The big German publication that's been pushing all of this. You can't aim a satellite time-lapse at Antarctica or the Arctic in their respective summers and show half of them melting and then tell people it's all about to melt. Not knowing, the general public doesn't know or isn't thinking. So it's such a simple parlor trick that in the summer, the ice always dissipates by around half and then comes back in the fall and the winter. But they show school kids, here is the Arctic time-lapse. It's melting. Al Gore turns in his slideshow inconvenient scam. And he says, look at it, it's melting. At this rate, in 1 year, it'll be gone. Dun, dun, dun. They keep saying it every year. I mean, it was supposed to be gone years ago. And then it was supposed to be gone again this year. But they're reporting that it's bigger and thicker than it's been in decades. And, of course, then there's the other parlor trick lie where they say that if ice caps melt, that sea levels will go up. And depending on the model, in most of the models, that's actually not the case. Just like if you fill a glass up with ice and it's mounding at the top and filled with water, when the ice melts, the water level goes way down because ice displaces more volume than water. Now, you have to do calculations of how much water there is above sea level, above the mountains of ice and glaciers, and they try to do those calculations with computers. But generally, as you get massive melt, the seas actually lower because now the ice that's in the sea is not displacing as much volume. Now, it is true that if the glaciers completely melt across the board, that there's some measurements that show it would send up sea levels. But that varies. And, of course, it's the sun that drives it, no matter if the UN has a vote and says, the sun does not affect the climate. We have said so. No proof, we say so. And they've tried to run out of business and run out of university. The majority of scientists, climatologists, scientists that study the sun, that show that it is the sun that's controlling the temperature of the Earth and governing weather with the particles it's firing into the atmosphere that form the nuclei. This was first postulated more than 100 years ago, began to be confirmed in the 50s, and in the last decade, completely confirmed by hundreds of scientific groups. CERN 2 weeks ago classified their information, but it's still leaked that CERN's test showed the same thing. And but the UN and Al Gore say the sun is not the main driver. If you think humans have any effect compared to the sun, you got nothing coming. Now, humans can destroy the Earth. Nuclear weapons, biological engineering certainly could damage the planet to a great extent. And I am all for looking at a serious debate about restricting some of this stuff, because it's a perfect Trojan horse by the technocrats who've declared themselves anti-human eugenicists, that they are already using these systems against us. So while you're busy running in fear and the public hyperventilating, oh no, the carbon dioxide, ooh. I ran that promo yesterday that Gore's running for his 24 hours of baloney, 24 hours of con artistry on parade, when he says, in that Nelly voice, I can't really do Al Gore well, but, yes, the oil companies say carbon dioxide is not bad, but we know the truth. I mean, being lectured about carbon dioxide is really a joke. I don't know how plants even live when it's less than 1% now. It's some tiny, guys pull up percentage of carbon dioxide in Earth's atmosphere, and then they know just 200,000 years ago it was 14 times higher. How are plants even living right now? That's what they respirate from is and there's a lot of scientists, and even in the last 100 years, over and over again, saying carbon dioxide is very low. What's going on? Are we losing our atmosphere like Mars or something? The Pentagon's answer in the 50s and 60s was to detonate hundreds of nuclear weapons in the upper atmosphere and out in the Van Allen radiation belt. And it is believed that some of those detonations, it's covered in the great documentary voiced by William Shatner, what is it called, Trinity, showing the U.S. nuclear test program, and blowing holes in the atmosphere and the ozone. But again, that's not a problem. Go ahead and detonate those high-powered hydrogen bombs, sometimes dozens in a night. Where is carbon dioxide? Carbon dioxide is 0.0360. Wow. You don't have that, the Earth dies. The entire life cycle dependent on carbon dioxide. The plants that put off the oxygen. And we have a bloated con artist who tells one wild lie after another, running around, getting in our face. Put that graph back up for me, please. I knew it was 0.3, but I want to get the exact. And let me see, nitrogen 78.08. And look out, they're now bad-mouthing nitrogen in the media, saying anything puts that off is evil. Oxygen is 20.95. Water is 0 to 4%, depending where you are in the atmosphere. Argon is 0.93. Carbon dioxide is 0.0360. And I had Lord Monckton on last night, and he corrected me. I kept saying it's been 14 times higher. That's in the last 200,000 years. They have it from ice cores, mud samples, peat bogs. He explained to me, no, Alex, thousands of times. During this period, the Earth was 30% carbon dioxide. And I looked it up last night, and it was true. It used to be 30%. Now it's 0.03. Wow. Let's put that graph again, if you're a PrismPlanet.tv viewer, back up there. Radio listeners can just look up percentage of carbon dioxide in Earth's atmosphere. Wow, humans and other animals, we get 20.95. That's what we're breathing. And then we put off the carbon dioxide. I guess we're precious creatures. And the plants, desperate, carbon dioxide starved. And literally, it's like Al Gore's Satan. He doesn't want the Earth to have its life force. And, of course, all these trendies are anti-life but think they're pro-life. It's always like that with these devilish deceptions. The poor plants get 0.0360. Helium is one of the only gases. Isn't it noble that doesn't... it's 0.0005. Methane, that they're now taxing people all over the world for, flatulence in their farm animals, is 0.0017. That's essential for keeping the atmosphere on the planet. But we can go like Mars. I'm sure Al Gore would be happy. Detonate a few more A-bombs up there in the sky. Hydrogen is 0.00005. Nitrous oxide is 0.00003. Ozone, but their Al Gore's always, actually cleans and purifies the atmosphere, 0.000004. Okay, I've got all this incredible news, and I have a tendency to perseverate on facts of science, and I get a little angry by a known con artist, lying filth bag, hypocrite, running around saying that everyone who is against shutting down our coal plants, as Obama said, I want to bankrupt them that supplies 50+% of our energy. And I know big oil companies came up with Ken Lay for this carbon tax scam. And I've got all the proof. I've made films about it. And he gets up there and says, anyone criticizing this works for the oil companies. When the oil companies predominantly, almost every one of them, the big ones, on record, are funding the carbon taxes to shut down coal, because once they've shut down coal, that will artificially create scarcity in other petrochemicals and increase the value.